think about OPEC cutting production here. I don't think it's a good idea. It just what I have over here. But the gains that the Ukrainians have gotten to take back this territory, and for him and for Vladimir Putin to illegally signing annexations, and but our response is the 4 regions and the Crimeas are Ukrainians. They belong to Ukraine. I think for the sake of the world, and for the sake of, for him himself, I think Putin needs to do the right thing, stop this war, get back its territories rightfully to Ukraine. And I have to say, there's a better path for Russia than doing this. Russia can, bridge the differences between the Ukrainians and respect the Ukrainians. They can, end the war and start bridging differences between the Ukrainians. The world will be a better place. And also, Vladimir Putin needs to respect the citizens' rights. I think it's real. I think, the case is Putin started this war. So it's up to him to stop it. Countries like us doesn't annex countries. I think the land we've gained was through purchases, to purchase heirs. I think for the only legal way to gain land is, to talk to them and to think if they're selling the land, or you can just buy the land, or whatever it is. But, the land is up to, Ukraine, including Crimea and like this, it's up to the jurisdictions of Ukrainians to what to do. But the United States, we don't annex countries forcefully. Alaska and Hawaii was purchased, and but I gotta say, it's time for Putin to end this war. End the war, and we'll lift the sanctions. We can lift the sanctions, and we can do trades with Putin. If Putin ends the war, starts behaving himself, respects the rights of its Russian citizens, and I think the world will be better. We don't own land in Europe. We're friends of Europe. We talk together like this. I think the better way for Putin is to, work with the Ukrainians. There's a better way forward than Vladimir Putin than to forcefully take land away from Ukraine. I think instead of that, I think we should bridge the difference of Ukraine and mark the differences like this, and start respecting the rights of its Russian citizens. I also believe that we should help with those Russians because Russians fleeing the country because of Putin's actions, including his mobilization efforts. And for them to use, and I have to say, for nuclear weapons, don't use it. You're not going to win the war that way. And there's going to be a lot of consequences, which could just provide his life. He's gambling his life if he uses nuclear weapons and continues on with this. But if he does, we have we should have we have the power to defend our nations and our friends' nations as well, native nations here. But Putin has to understand that the world is now starting to take notice of his erratic behavior Putin's doing now. The best thing to do with Putin now, change his behavior around, withdraw his troops in Ukraine, give back to the legal land that you've legally annexed, and, change around. That's what I have to say.